Hi everyone, I'm Geoff Hall, hosting this year's edition of, we call it Westford Sports Shots, but we have, the focus of this is football, and particularly the Westford Academy Football Supporters, a group of boosters in town. We're represented there by Les Chernauskas. Les, thanks for coming on.
Nice to meet you.
And of course, Jim Antonelli, the principal of Westford Academy, and a member of the '85 football team, which we're going to get to a little later here. As I said, this is the fourth year we've done this. I guess WAFS has been in, this is their fourth year or fifth year?
Fifth year, yeah.
Fifth year in existence. The fourth year I've done this, and I've had different guests on every year because the makeup of WAFS itself, Westford Academy Football Supporters, changes with the parents over the years. Tell me, Les, what's the purpose of WAFS?
WAFS was formed 5 years ago. John Dugan was one of the original originators of the program, and basically it's a fundraising volunteer effort to get members of the Westford community and parents and some of the students involved so that the football can foster a community spirit in the football program. It also provides a feedback back and forth between the students and the coaches to get information out to the parents. Usually by email list. And we are now, actually today is the barbecue, and they'll be doing that in about 2 hours.
Okay, you said fundraising. How do you go about fundraising?
We have several ways that we raise money. We have a dance that we do in November. We have this ad program that we put out and sell at the football games.
And I've got a copy of it right there, okay? This is the 2011 edition, but they're similar, other than the faces changing on the inside. In this program, it gives you things like the staff. Billy Bombassi, the trainer, gives you his background.
It has football, cheer, band photos of the seniors, particularly as a kind of memento was there last year at the high school.
Okay.
We have advertisers in there, all local businesses that are part of the community. And we also honor every year a special team from the past. This year it's Jim's team from 1985.
And it gives you, you want a different individual every year. Like I know, for example, in the first year, I think it was George and Phyllis Seton that were honored. Johnny Wilder one year, and unfortunately it was Ward Haley last year that was honored posthumously. I know his family came and honored him because Ward was such a great contributor to the football program and so many other things over the years. So, Jim, let me ask you, from your perspective as a principal, you see this type of thing, and you mentioned some of the things that the program provides. You must be thrilled about something like this, a program like this.
Provided great leadership and some synergy for the program, gets parents involved. There is not, a budget that's available beyond equipment kind of budget to do some of the things that this program has done for us, particularly adding equipment to the weight room to make our players more physically fit and so forth. But they support all the programs, whether it's football or the cheer or the band. This is an organization that's out there to be helpful to everybody, and primarily their focus is on the football program. But it creates, by putting this book together as a memento for our seniors, it really brings a lot of pride and ownership. It gets parents involved, it gets students involved, and really the community. I got to be honest, the advertisements that are in there have been spectacular, and the businesses within the community continue to support education year after year. So it's really a beautifully displayed book that's assembled by this group, and it's a tremendous amount of work. And we appreciate all their efforts, believe me.
Well, I'm on their email list, and I see the emails going back and forth starting, I guess, sometime in June, actually, and people go volunteering to doing the fundraising part, and different people going out to the community. And once again, you mentioned, that the generosity of the business community, because not only are they hit up by you guys, but it's just everyone's knocking on their door consistently because everyone is in the same situation. But I know they've given generously, the business community, to that, and they recognize within the book also. And you said, Les, you want to talk a little bit more
Sure.
about some of the things that go on throughout
Yep.
the year, the schedule? Or?
So what we do is we put this program together. Actually, Ann Antes is taking a big lead on that and puts most of the ad together to the printer. That goes out for sale at all the home games and around town in general at different events. We also do at the very beginning of the year the barbecue, which is today. After practice, the kids and the families get together and the coaches speak about the program. We also do things like provide fan gear and equipment for the students at a discounted rate. We talk with the coach to ask him does he prefer for equipment, and then we give that list out to the members of the WAFs, which are usually all the players' parents. We also do homecoming tailgate events and tailgate events during the season to foster community spirit and get people together so the parents can socialize and get to know one another. So those happen at every home game. We also...
Sausages, hamburgers, hot
Yep,
dogs, I'll
yep.
tell you.
Mike
I'm
Gross
there
took the
early.
lead on that last year and really got that going, and we're continuing that this year as well. And
But
we
you know,
actually,
it's a great way. I mean, they do it at other football games. You know, people get down to Foxborough 2 hours early or 4 hours early. And why not for high school? It's becoming more of a thing. And I know that it's great to mix with, you know, on a Friday night, getting there at 5:30, 6 o'clock, having a couple of hot dogs before you go in. Yeah.
sure. And we also had the big tailgate over at AB on Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
It's early in the morning, but we all got up there, you know.
Yeah.
So we do events like that. Like I said, we also do the fundraising dance, has a silent auction. That went very well last year, and we hope to do that again this year. And then we do other things like the senior dinner with the coaches. They get together and they get to have a special night out at a local restaurant or establishment. We do other things like plaques for the seniors at the end at the banquet, which is also promoted and sponsored by WAFs, usually around right before Christmas. And then we also provide sweatshirts, sweatpants, shirts for the freshmen and for the JV and varsity team that they normally wouldn't get through the regular school budget. So it's a lot of different things that we provide for the program to enrich it so that it's a better experience for the students and for the parents and the whole community.
You've met some people in town you never knew before through
Yeah,
this, too,
exactly.
haven't you?
I've met a lot of people. Exactly.
And I know that's one of the things I found being invited back. John Dutton got me involved with the historical part of it 4 or 5 years ago, and then you know the honoring of the teams over the years. And I've worked with different people, Ann Antes particularly over the last couple of years, who roams the sidelines. You don't know who Ann Antes is in. You've never been to look for the blonde lady with the camera wrapped around her. At all the games.
She's got a son at every other level in the school system.
So she's going to be around for a long time, absolutely.
Budget-wise, Jeff, this is great because, you know, as you know, we have users' fees in Westford, and they're 225 with no family cap. And so what this does is it helps to augment the system where we're not always asking for, you know, parents to write a check for a sweatshirt or another piece of equipment and so forth. So really the efforts are greatly appreciated and truly impact the program in a positive way.
Yeah.
And I did want to mention as well, Jim had already mentioned it, that we do sponsor attendance for the weight room during the winter season. We did that
Correct.
last year.
Yeah, that's right.
And also sponsored 2 varsity cheerleaders to go to the ESPN Pop Warner Championship.
What, can you tell me a little bit about that? I mean, so it's not just football. It's
Trying
that
to
as
get
well.
cheer
Yeah.
involved, and we get band involved at least at the stages in the program.
And I noticed that within the program, it talks about the senior kids who are involved. And so, as you say, this is a memento that, 30 years from now, or however long, you know, after you get out of high school, you look back and say, wow, you know, and it's great to have. Yeah. So, you know, well, I guess one of the things I would tell people is, you know, you're not going to just see these, you'll see them at the games, but they should be available around town as well. Am I correct?
We try to make different events. We'll try to bring them, but it's primarily at the football games. But we also try to, you know, give them away or sell them
Yep.
at other locations as well when we get the opportunity.
So it might, if you're looking for one way to support the Westford football program other than just attending the games, that would be one way of doing it. Now you mentioned in this, you said that that each year a different team is on, and Go back. They honored the 1944 football team, which Jim Antonelli's dad was a part of.
Correct.
The original football team in 1944. 1955 football team was honored a few years back. They were the first undefeated team at Westford Academy. And last year was the 62 team, the first state championship team. And there was a different system back then. And Arnie, could we get the picture? I think there's a picture you have of the members of that team that showed up. We get that up there? Here we go. Okay. And shows us Bob Herman, Paul McMillan, Greg Peterson, Mike Sudak, Chris Ryan, and Steve Strebel were the ones. Bob, you might be familiar. And there they are on and I think Billy Core was there someplace as well, too, because he brought those banners with him. But yeah, there's Billy, next to the last there. And so this has become a tradition every year, and a different team has been honored. And this year's team is the 1985 team. And Jim Antonelli, who's the principal at Westford Academy, was one of the co-captains. We have the picture of the co-captains up there, Anya? 2 co-captains, there they are. That's Jim Antonelli, was number 54. Am I correct, Jim?
Correct, sir.
Yeah. We weighed about 135 pounds in that one, Jim?
A little bit more, Coach, but I wish I weighed that much now. Let's just put it that way.
Well, interesting. This is a picture, of course, where we've all swelled up a little bit, Jim, but you were also a wrestler.
I was,
A,
yes.
a state championship wrestler. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the heavyweight class, was it?
A little lighter than that, but
little lighter.
187 pounds.
187, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I remember seeing you back then, Jim. Let me read you something. In early August of 1985, co-captains Jim Antonelli and Mark Erickson conducted the first football practices for the up-and-coming 1985 season. The team had been 8-2 in 1984 and finished a 3-way tie in the Wachusett League with Oakmont and Lunenburg. However, graduation that year had hit the Grey Ghosts hard. On defense, Westford had lost the entire front 7. And Jim Antonelli was the only starting offensive lineman returning from the 84 squad. Not a very optimistic way of starting that season,
Right.
Jim.
But I'll tell you, Jeff, what happened was we had great leadership the year before with that 84 team. And it was really one rainy day out in Lunenburg that we lost 14-9. And Lunenburg ended up getting the points. It was a point system back then to go to the Super Bowl. And that 84 team really created a special bond with us and taught us how to work hard. I mean, from captain's practices to being in the weight room, they set the table for us. And so, although we lost a lot of talent, they provided us with that leadership and that structure to set us up for success the following year. And I will tell you, these guys, we were in the weight room every single night from 6 to 8 o'clock at night, and John Morris, who was the head coach, would have to kick us out. And we felt strongly about it. On the weekends, you went out and you lifted on your own and you ran and so forth. And so when we came back, we were strong and we were ready to go. And so guys were fired up to play, and they were excited about an 8-2 season. And I think if you asked us at the beginning of the season, would we have just thought we were going to be undefeated or close to it? I think we would have, wrestled with that, But as we started to roll, we found success, and we built off of that.
Let's take a look at the season. You win. You go to the Jamboree at College Stadium. They still held that Jamboree, by the way?
No.
Okay.
No.
I can remember that, and that was a tradition for years and years. You won there, okay? At College Stadium, you beat Tingsboro, I guess. And then the first game was that September 21st against Hopkinton. You win 14-7. Okay, tough one. As expected, the game against it was a tough one, but Ghosts prevailed 6-0. Excuse me, 6-0 in that game, the first game of the season.
Correct.
Against Hopkinton.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you go, the next 3 games would all be on the road. All Wachusett League. Wachusett League. You weren't going in from Westford towards Boston at the time.
No.
You went from Westford
Yeah.
out. Some of the
That
teams.
was the Mid-Wachusett League that we had been in for, my brothers, back in history, we'd been in for so many years.
Yeah.
It was basically in 1993 was the first year we went into the dual county league.
That's
and
correct.
getting
Yep.
involved with the Concord Carlisles, Lincoln Sudbury, Boston Latin communities and so forth. But up until then, we were in the Mid-Wachusett League, and it was very good competition. You know, Oakmont Regional, North Middlesex. North Middlesex, as you know, Sandy Ruggles had a dynasty out there for years.
Brockton used to come out to play him specifically.
Absolutely. And
You know,
there
Murdoch
some-
was there.
Murdoch, yeah.
Murdoch,
Just some
yep.
great teams, Gardner, Mass. And so, you know, it was more in Western Mass, but there was good competition. And certainly we enjoyed playing those teams. They were long bus rides, but no shorter than Boston Latin.
But yeah, you're right. But I'll tell you the difference, one of the differences, most of those games were on Saturday afternoons.
Correct.
And those rides in late September into October on a Saturday afternoon out in that area, I mean, you saw all the foliage, and it was really, I mean, that's football, you know? And I remember those rides, and it was a lot of fun. It really was a lot of fun.
I think the parents might have appreciated that more than the players back
Right.
then.
I think probably
Yeah.
that was the case. So the next three games, okay, Narragansett Regional, 28-6, you win that one. Oakmont Regional. Oakmont always had a good team,
Powerhouse. Yeah.
year after year. And it says a team they had not defeated on the road in 17 years in 1985. Something special about this game. Can you tell us, Jim?
Yeah, we were there on a Saturday afternoon. Again, as you pointed out, Jeff, the foliage was great, and all of a sudden, lightning and thunder came, and the game had to be postponed. And we had to take the bus ride back from Oakmont to Westford. Just couldn't believe that a game would be postponed and have to come back out to Oakmont the next day on a Sunday afternoon to finish the game. And fortunately, ended up on the right side and defeated Oakmont on their own turf.
14-6.
Yes.
Al Dabowski and John Bakke, running combination, okay, passing combination of Mark Erickson, who was your quarterback and your co-captain, and Jeff Pantanella.
Yes.
Jeff Pantanella.
Yeah.
Next up was Gardner High School, the Gardner High School Wildcats. You beat 28-6. Murdoch after that, 46-0. Murdoch was kind of went hot and cold over the years. But that was a year I think they were weak. North Middlesex, okay, Sandy Ruggles' team.
Yep.
The game was played before the largest non-Thanksgiving Day game ever at Westford Academy, and it really lived up to the hype. Do you remember it?
I do.
Tell us.
It's just an exciting battle between two teams that, again, North Middlesex was well established. Westford was starting to get noticed and so forth, and well coached on both sides. Both had long history with John Morris and with Sandy Ruggles, and you know, it's just a game of toughness. You had to get out there and you had to be physical, and John had to put a good game plan together and outcoached Sandy that day, and we ended up again on the right side. But it was quite a battle coming in, knowing that this could be for the Super Bowl.
51 seconds left in the game. North Middlesex scored a touchdown to cut Westford's lead to 14-12. Accordingly, the visitors attempted a 2-point conversion, and they appeared to have it when Kirk Welby came out of nowhere to knock down a pass that would have tied the score.
I can still remember it to this day. There comes Kirk.
Yeah.
He was about 5'7", playing deep, and came out and just made a great play to save the day. Yeah.
Next up, came Nashoba. Always tough on the schedule.
Yeah.
What happened?
Again, coached by a great coach, Kenny Tucker. Kenny coached for many years, was an athletic director and teacher out at Nashoba. Left for a while, recently came back again. In fact, I went down to Gillette last season, and Ken was undefeated all the way through at the playoff game in the Super Bowl championship last year. Terrific coach. And we went in, I think, feeling pretty good about ourselves, and it was a very, very physical game. And we came out on the other side this time down 6-0, and they had the best kicker in the league. He actually missed an extra point that game, which came back to haunt him later in the season. But that was our only loss, and I'll tell you, that was the most quiet bus ride that I can ever remember, whether it be coaching, playing, whatever. It was a silent bus ride home. Everybody was in shock that we didn't defeat that team.
It's interesting. The 85 team that you were on, the 86 team, back-to-back Super Bowl champions, correct?
Yep, correct.
The 86 team went undefeated, am I correct?
Yes.
The next year.
Yes.
The only blemish in those 2 years was Nashoba Regional.
Yes.
Let's go back 24 years before that, the 62 team that we honored and the 63 team, okay, were back-to-back state champions, Class D state champions.
Yeah.
Their only blemish was 6 tie the second year against Nashoba Regional.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah.
that. Wow.
Yeah. And that's why when I was reviewing this, I said, that's right. I said, a nemesis, always a great program back in the 60s, up to the 80s, and then, as a watch usually, and still. In fact, the guy that put this together, Jim Van Beaver, and I were talking together the other day, and he says, I wish they'd get Nashoba back on the schedule. That was always a great game. So.
Absolutely.
Nashoba. Okay, and then schedule got a little easier, I guess. Lost to Nashoba was difficult. Coach Morris's team had a winning record. They went on to beat Lunenburg 28-15, beat Littleton 37-12, which had been a problem for us all during the
lot of years.
1970s.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
year after year.
70s and 80s, early 80s as well. Yeah.
And then Thanksgiving Day. What happened?
Thanksgiving Day, the forecast was difficult to watch, up early and so forth, and we woke up to a tremendous snowstorm. And so, the Thanksgiving Day hype, you just remember it as a player. There's no better feeling than getting up that day thinking about playing on Thanksgiving Day as a football player. And so for the coach to call to say, guys, we're going to call it. There's 12 inches on the field. When we knew that Tewksbury was playing that day and other rivalries were playing that day, I can tell you, my mother and father had to deal with one of the saddest guys in Westford not playing that day. But again, as I mentioned to you earlier, Geoff, hindsight was 2020. Coach knew that it would maybe level the playing field that day. We didn't have the equipment to do the field justice, and so it was plowed that evening and maintained the next day, and we ended up playing it the day after.
And winning, was it 28-6?
Yeah.
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 You see, some great games over the years against the Air High School, especially when they had the Morris boys,
Absolutely.
yes, over the years.
Yeah.
So that takes us now to the end of the season. You got one loss, and you're headed to Worcester Polytech for what was the Division II Super Bowl.
Correct.
Western Poly, was it WPI? Is
Yep,
that?
yep,
WPI.
yeah. Yeah. And it was one of the first turf fields. It was OmniTurf. So it was exciting to go to a beautiful facility and to be able to play on that turf field. And again, it was knowing that we were going to face a team that we had lost to earlier. We had to change some of our game plan. And I can still remember seeing our defensive coordinator, coaching up on the sidelines, coaching up during the game. And it was just a really physical game and a low-scoring game.
You might put those pictures up of the Super Bowl. There's some great pictures. Yeah, first Super Bowl ever. I don't know who those people are in the pictures. That's Vince Viglione, the coach.
That is Vin Viglione, who's
Viglione,
a legendary
Yeah.
coach for Westford and also for Bill Ricca Wrestling. He coached many state champions, New England champions over the years. That's Kenny Delaney down below. Kenny was the backup quarterback. That's Kelly Sullivan, number 68, and I believe that's Jeff Pantanella, number 35, making a pretty good play. And I believe that's Bobby Williams for Nashoba Regional, being grabbed up in the backfield.
There's a few others. All of these, by the way, are from the '86 yearbook. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the first Super Bowl ever.
Yeah. John Backey was 24 in that last picture, and he was the guy, we called it scampering. He scampered around the outside for the only touchdown in that game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Who's the guy with the cast on his leg?
We lost Nick Sansone. Nick was a boy that came up from Georgia into the high school, was an outstanding player, big guy, and really had a terrible accident early on in the season. I want to say it was either Middlesex or Gardner, somewhere in that range, so we lost him midway through the season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty exciting though, huh?
Yeah, it was a great day, and when he missed that field goal at the end of the extra point, we were up 7-6. They went up 7-0 real quick, or 6-0, excuse me, real quick, and missed the extra point, and we had to come back, and we got the extra point, and we just had to hold them right to the end.
That's why they call it football, right?
I don't think you gave up more than 2 touchdowns in a game, did you, all year?
No,
In this
it
one.
was pretty tight all season. Yeah, it was great.
A great defensive squad. Well, Jim, this season, okay, is going to be a little different and interesting. MIAA, Mass Interscholastic Athletic Association, has a different schedule and a different playoff system. You're a member of the MIAA board. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a 2-year proposal that was really studied for probably 3 years by a football committee. The football committee presented a proposal to the entire association, so this was voted on by the entire state of Massachusetts. And basically, it was voted upon that to accept the proposal for 2 years, to do some study. But the first 7 games, you will play, basically a lot of your competition you've played in the past. But then it turns into a playoff cycle of game 8, 9, and 10 for an assigner, basically a football assigner that will start with a smaller group of folks to assign these tournament games. So basically, game 8, you can start in the playoffs. Thanksgiving Day will remain against Acton Boxborough, but that doesn't mean we're not going to play Acton Boxborough because we're going to play them earlier in the
Playing
year.
them in September, am I correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Third game.
Yeah, third game of the season, yeah.
Which some people aren't happy about because it can take away from the excitement of Thanksgiving Day. So if Thanksgiving Day doesn't mean much, I still think it'll mean a lot to football players and the community. It's more, Thanksgiving Day it's about football, but it really is about the community.
It's about the
Alumni
community,
coming back to say hello.
Oh, yeah.
It's a special day. You can't take away from that. So it may not have the same football meaning. It may. So it's to be determined.
Very controversial, and if I'm correct, you guys weren't head over heels with this. I know that the athletic director, Dan Toomey, and yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking to a lot of the suburban towns around here because I talked to some of the folks from Chelmsford. I know George Simonian over there was wild about it.
Yep.
He was ready to secede from whatever it is, and he upset about it. I guess the upside of it, though, is this could be exciting come November, too. Am I correct?
It could. It could.
Yeah.
So it's, again, we need to see what happens. We need to talk with folks after. We need to get some end results to figure out because, sometimes you can match up 2 communities. And one of the things you want to have is 2 communities that are going to have, people there and watching the student athletes and so forth. And that could be an issue if we're sending people in other directions. And so the assignments are going to be critical to this makeup.
As the years go by, 2 or 3 years from now, you're going to have a say in the football coming up because you're not only a member of WAFs, but you're coaching as well, correct?
Yeah, this year we have the age level that is 8th grade this year. In the years past, we haven't had enough youth players to field a team, so this is the first time that this age group has had a team in 3 years. So I'm coaching the 8th grade team, and a lot of these players will be coming up and playing freshman ball next year. And I've actually had Jim's son and my son out helping coach the kids, and they really look like they enjoy it. So it's good for the players as well.
Are you guys up at the Abbott Field?
At Abbott Field,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Every afternoon.
Oh, in the afternoon?
Well, from 5:30, 6 o'clock till 8.
Because I know my grandson is up there with the Pop Warner program. So is it Pop Warner football actually?
Pop Warner is the program, and there's
Yeah.
a lot of good people on the board there as well as like WAFs, donating their time to help
It's
youth.
funny. It's the beginning of August. You head up there, and all of a sudden that field comes alive with all kinds of activities. Let me ask you this, Les, with the time remaining, if somebody wants to get involved with WAFs, wants to contribute some way to the football program, what would you suggest?
They can there's a class rep for each grade. So freshman Karen Priest is the class rep. For sophomores, it's Cam Santana. I'm the junior class rep, and Ann Antes is the senior class rep. And they can also get a hold of Jim if they really want to get involved, and we can point them in the right direction.
New coach this year?
New coach, very excited. Yeah.
But an old part of Westford apparently. He's been on the staff there for a while, Jim, right?
Yeah, he has been. Yeah, so we're excited to have Adam Gagney as the head coach. He has assembled his assistant coaches. He's a business computer teacher at Westford Academy. He's heavily involved with the DECA program and just does a great job. So we're very enthusiastic about the season.
I may have him on a DECA program on the show a little later on in the year.
Great idea.
Any predictions?
I look for a positive season. These kids have worked hard. They've been getting up, and it was open to all student athletes, but 6:30 in the morning, all season.
5:30.
5:30, excuse me. Yeah, they were
I had to
basically
drive
done
them
and ready to
there
go to
by
school.
6.
5:30 in the morning, a couple mornings throughout the entire year, getting ready for this season, lifting weights, getting strong. So I like what I see so far.
Good, good. Les, thank you for.
Thank you for
Chip,
inviting
always a
us.
pleasure.
Pleasure.